Hello, could you hear me now? Someone in the comments, please confirm whether you can hear me. This is Follow Everton, reacting to Everton's 2-2 draw at Leeds. I have Mr. Andy Mabs with us. Mabsy,
All right.
you're at Allen Road. How do you feel coming out of the ground now?
Yeah, it was one of them. You know, we had it for it away. We should have buried our chances, really.
It looked very much like a game where Everton needed to play that extra pass at times and kind of find that cutting edge to really punish Leeds. I think we were always looking like a real threat, and it was nice to see Everton looking like they could always win the game, get that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you there, right? Yeah, I mean, fuck, it's a decent result. Always a draw from home. It wasn't a win, but I think we had enough, but we didn't take the chances. So,
what was the atmosphere like in the away end there at Leeds?
boss, oh, amazing. Obviously, Everton do not deserve the fans they have. We are just amazing. Just, yeah, boss, absolutely amazing. 18 months and we're back. Boss,
Mabsy, it did look like Leeds had a really, really difficult atmosphere for the players as well. The home fans, were they strong in their support for Leeds today? Did you think that impacted?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they were definitely soft land for Leeds. They were intimidating. To be fair to them, they fucking sung their hearts out. So, well played to them. I can't say anything bad.
Is there a feeling that was more of a missed opportunity today with having to take the lead twice? And really, in my opinion, I felt Everton were in control for large parts of the game, but threw it away kind of, and we're lucky to come with a point by the end of it.
We definitely threw it away. There's no doubt we stepped off the gas towards the end, and then let them back into it. They weren't anywhere near. Pickford wasn't really having to do anything, and then suddenly, and then suddenly, the back on top. It's horrible, like, but yeah.
Mabsy, the coach you got down, a nice journey. Was the atmosphere on the coach down?
I didn't.
As you remembered,
I'm driving, right?
Oh, you're driving back?
Yeah, I'm driving because I've been in Shrewsbury and I'm going to go to work now. So.
Oh. Amazing. Just going to touch on a few things then with yourself. David's going to come on very shortly for an extended reaction. Calvert-Lewin, penalty taker, took his penalty well?
Very clinical, very confident. Yeah, in my eyes, happy with that. Decision.
And was that a stonewall penalty for you in your eyes?
Yeah, I don't know why it fucking took VAR to take it. They didn't want to give it to us. Basically, they didn't want to give it to us, but just getting shit out of my car. But yeah, they didn't want to give it to us. They really didn't. They tried to find extraordinary ways of not to give it to us. Simple.
And the referee's performance in general, he seemed to want to get his cards out for anything in the second half, just for breathing.
Again, it was against Everton. None of the Leeds were fucking blameless when they were taking players down and then they were getting away with it. But we were tapping them and getting fucking stung as per.
Mabsy, can I ask you about the equaliser as well for Leeds? Michael Keane on the left side of the defence of Central. He seems to panic again, and
you know what? It feels like fucking Groundhog Day. It really does. Every single match just seems to be talking about Michael Keane error. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's got to. He's not got. I don't know why he's getting the game.
I felt like Everton were comfortable until that, really.
Yeah, we were cruising, and again, it's just a stupid mistake that was easily avoidable, and it's cost us. It's cost us 2 points. Let's be honest.
The second half, obviously, there were no changes made, but Damari Gray, who'd put some excellent deliveries in the first half, he again comes up trumps with a really great finish out of nowhere on his left foot.
Yeah, Damari Gray. What a snip for what a snip for what was it, 1.5 million or something?
Yeah, some of his deliveries were fantastic, and a striker like Calvert-Lewin, you'd expect to have, we should have come away with a hat trick, really. But I was really impressed with
Yeah,
Gray's striking and his creativity and pace today.
absolutely. Right, all right, I'm going to have to go, mate. Anyway.
That's fine. See you soon, Manty.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks. Looks like it's just me for now, but I believe Basil will be joining very shortly. So in terms of the rest of the second half, excuse me, from my perspective, I felt like Everton could have really punished at 2-1. They should have taken full advantage of everything that Leeds were allowing them, and gone and got that third goal. There were chances for Calvert-Lewin particularly to punish Leeds. He was slipped in perfectly by Iwobi, and it was more of a tame finish. There was another chance where Calvert-Lewin got on the end of a cross from Gray down the right, and he was unlucky not to score a tap-in. So there were a couple of big chances there, and you felt at 2-1 for Everton, if they'd have got that third goal, that would have been game over, and the atmosphere would have dropped and really played into Everton's hand. Maybe they could have got four or five goals, but it wasn't to be. It felt like Leeds were building a lot of momentum with the corners. A lot of Everton were making a lot of silly errors from free kicks, getting booked needlessly for kicking the ball away, frustrated. And it felt like Leeds were building the momentum, and the goal was coming. And you think Rafinha, obviously he's a goal scorer, him and Bamford. Why aren't we, really tight to him and stopping him getting that opportunity? I'm going to come to the comments. I know there's a load of you watching. Thanks for joining us on the stream. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It felt like we allowed Leeds to come back into the game to build momentum when really we should have punished them with some great chances from Calvert-Lewin. And don't get me wrong, I think Leeds played well. They had their own chances. They didn't test Pickford probably as much as they would have liked to, but they still, were a real threat. I want to ask you, what do we make of the situation with Michael Keane and Yerry Mina? Does that partnership work? Are they just too slow, too reactive? Obviously, the second goal as well, we haven't talked about that. For me, that is very shambolic. I mean, there's opportunities there to stop the cross coming into the box first and foremost. And then there's Coleman, Dean, and Michael Keane there in defence who could have headed away or at least try and win that second ball. And they don't. And it comes out to Rafinha. And don't get me wrong, that was an incredible strike. Whipped into the corner. Pickford had no chance. But you want to see Everton maybe throwing themselves at that, trying to block it. But really, it shouldn't come down to that today. I think Everton, look, I'm going to say that they, up to about 80 minutes in, they were probably overall the better team, would have deserved to win. And they should have got that third goal and finished off Leeds. But they didn't. And by the end of it, I'd say a point was probably a fair result. It was, you take that, I suppose. And in fairness, I was writing my little match report and I was saying, Everton, up to that stage, were sinking, spoiling Leeds' return to the Premier League with fans. So, look, I'd probably say before kickoff, a point is a decent result. It feels, I think if the game had gone at 2-2 within 80 minutes, I'd have said we've thrown it away. I think by the end of it, with the Leeds pressure, I think we were lucky to come away with the point. Mark Spurrier says, great game, fair result. Thank you, Mark, for watching. Yeah, I tend to agree. It probably was a fair result. And I imagine for a neutral, that was a really good watch. Will Lewis says, 2 howlers defensively. Yes, certainly the first one. If you freeze frame the amount of time Michael Keane has on the ball, he could certainly have controlled it. Or realistically, he should have just put his foot through it and cleared it. But it's basic defending. It's like Sunday League defending. And that first one cost us it. And the second one, failing to win the first ball, should do better to stop the cross in the first place and get the block in. So there's opportunities to stop that happening. It is a little bit frustrating. Anthony Davis He's saying, with me mate Graham on the way home from Leeds. Hi, Anthony. I hope you enjoyed yourself. What do you think of the atmosphere? Was it as good as it looked on the computer stream? Taylor Carney says, I'm done with football. Tennis is the life of me. It's very difficult to watch. I think we've got Basil coming in the comments. Basil coming in, waiting to join. He's just setting up his camera, so stick with us. In the meantime, I am just going to show you this message from Luca Dean to urge you to subscribe if you haven't already.
It's Lucas Dean. Follow Everton.
Subscribe.
Yeah, of course.
See you later, Lucas.
It's Lucas Dean. Follow Everton.
Subscribe.
Yeah, of course.
See you later, Lucas.
I think Basil's coming on very shortly. Keep the comments coming. We've got one from Mark Spurrier. Mark saying, missing Godfrey for sure. Certainly wouldn't have brought Delph on. He nearly cost us late penalty. In fairness, Mark, it was a good challenge. He probably shouldn't have dived in the way he had. But, you know, he probably had to do something. It was very late in the game. It would have been a shot on goal. Look, it was risky. And obviously Benitez felt that at that point we needed to provide some protection for Dean on the left, and Delph probably did provide a little bit of stability. He also brought Moise Keane on, who I thought looks unfit or just not interested. Doesn't run, which when you're trying to hold on to, you know, a draw or a lead away from home in tough conditions, you know, you want a lot more effort from your players. So regarding Godfrey, obviously, he's a shoe-in if he's fit for the next game. And I think if Everton can win their home games and pick up points, you know, draws and wins away from home, they'll do well this season. I think Everton's under Rafa Benitez have actually made a good start. I'm actually quietly impressed with what I've seen. I think they seem to be generally well organised. There seems to be more fluidity, threat on the wings without really losing any of the midfield stability and creativity and even just a goal threat from midfield. I think everyone looks really fluid. Everyone looks motivated in general. I just think it's cutting out defensive errors. And for me, I'd really like Everton to sign. I know it's not happening, but I think a left-sided centre-back. I think someone like Nathan Ake at Man City might be available on loan. And I think he would provide the pace and distribution in the back line. And someone like Holgate could then be allowed to leave and join Brighton. So, in my opinion, we need to find more balance in central defence just so we're not in these situations where we've got players like Michael Keane in that position where he can make mistakes, just basic errors because his positioning is unnatural to him. Thomas, hiya Thomas, give us a thumbs up on Facebook, please. He's saying, looks like we are going to have to play to outscore the opposition. David, straight in on that question for me. Do you think this season we're going to see a lot of defensive errors and it's going to be a case of having to outscore opposition to get results?
I hope not. I hope that this is just early season blip, really. You know, we've seen the good and the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Everton today, haven't we? Terrible defending on Leeds goals and looking very dangerous going forward. So, you know, it's real mixed performance for me.
Dave, can I just ask you? Obviously, I've had Mabsy on the stream before, so if you haven't seen that, it's worth watching back. The final pass at times, certainly in that second half, just maybe needing to play an extra pass to slip someone in, or because I felt like Leeds are very rigid with their man marking. You know, they'll follow you out, and if they leave gaps, and I think if we'd have just got a heads up, maybe played an extra pass, slipped someone in, rather than taking a shot or that extra touch, we could have punished them. And
yeah,
do you think that was the case?
100%. Yeah, there was space to exploit, a lot of space to exploit, and you know, I think we did that well for large periods of the game. And there were times when obviously we'd give the ball away, and you're looking and you're thinking, oh, there's loads of space. Why have you done that? So, but you know, Leeds get very touch tight marking on you, and I think that caused us lots of problems building up from the back, especially. But once we broke the lines in the midfield, there was a lot of space, and it was about picking the right pass through. And in the second half, Leeds had a lot of players in our half, and they didn't leave many back. So it was definitely opportunity. And I think where the game was kind of thrown away for us was not getting the third goal when we had a couple of chances to really do that.
I think we wasted a big opportunity there. I mean, I was saying to Mabsy, I felt like in hindsight, we'll look back and say a point is a good result. But up to 80 minutes, I was feeling quite deflated at the fact that they'd equalised, because I thought we were in control and we should have got the third. But by the end of the 90 minutes, perhaps a point, we were good to get out with a point.
Well, it probably was. I mean, you look at the first 20 minutes, you're thinking Leeds are doing what you expected. They've got the crowd on us. They're pressing us right in. We can't keep the ball for Toffee. And you're thinking, oh God, this is not going to be good. They're going to find a way through eventually. Something's going to happen. And then we get the goal, and you're thinking, all right, this is a typical away performance from Everton in recent years, and let's try and sort of nick a goal and build from it, and then to let it go and to get it again, and then to let it go twice just feels very deflating, and it makes me very disappointed. Like if we'd been 1-0 down and we'd equalised, I wouldn't feel so bad, but to be in a winning position twice, to throw it away with two poor lapses of defending does make me feel quite ill at the moment. I think when we look back, we'll be thinking, that's 2 points dropped. Before the game, of course, I would have taken a point. But
do you think there was a lack of game management perhaps there then?
I don't know. There seemed to be a point where we were on top of the game in the second half. We got the second goal a bit out the blue. We could have got the third goal, and then we just dropped off. Like it was a sudden drop off. And I don't know who's sort of responsible for that. And then by that point, it was kind of like, let's take a point. And I mean, we didn't take a point. We were still attacking right to the end, really. It was quite end to end. And it was just a case of who was going to score. But Rafinha was tearing us apart. Like he had Dean all over. So we did struggle defensively. Pardon?
He's been called up for Brazil.
Well, he deserves to. I mean, he was a player that I would have said before the summer that we should be kind of trying to get, But it cost a lot of money now.
Yeah, 50 million. What you make of Leeds then? From a Leeds perspective, obviously they had some good support from the crowd, and it did look fairly hostile. I think Everton did well to manage that, and I think obviously on the balance of it, probably should have come away with a 3-1 win.
Yeah,
but. Do you think Leeds probably will have an argument to say that they deserve to win? Or, I mean, they wasted chances as well, but they didn't really test Pickford.
We didn't really have the clear opportunities as far as I can remember that I saw us kind of have. And I'm talking about Damari Gray's cross in the first half that was inches away from Calvert-Lewin. I'm talking about second half. I think Calvert-Lewin nearly scored again. He should have buried it. He went in the keeper's legs, and then they got a bit lucky, and he picked it up. We had opportunities where you thought, well, maybe you should just bury that, and we didn't. I mean, I don't know if you've touched on it, but the number 6 for Leeds, is it
Dallas?
He should have been sent off, shouldn't he? Because he
no, the central defender.
Yeah, he should have been sent off because he pulled Calvert-Lewin. It was not a clear attempt to go for the ball. It was a complete tug. So I'm not sure why he got a yellow card, but that would have changed the game, I think.
He made 2 similarly bad fouls: the penalty and the one in the second half where he tugs him back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think you're right there, Dave.
Someone explain to me why he didn't get sent off. I'd love to know.
The referee had it in for us, I think.
Well, he did, didn't he? I mean, he didn't give a lot, did he? Every time Richarlison got niggled, it was never a foul, which I'm not sure, but I find it hard to believe every single time was not a foul when he ends up on the floor. But, I don't know. We just didn't seem to have any luck with the referee, and we still... If we're competing against the referee and we're competing against the Ellen Road crowd, but we still managed to get that first goal. We still managed to get into halftime after they'd scored and the crowd were on top of us. And then when the crowd come out second half, we get the goal to silence the crowd. You're thinking there, you're doing a great job. 70 minutes. Let's just try and get through this. Maybe you've got the right substitutions, put the right substitutions on and get through the game.
My argument would be actually that Michael Keane is a sort of player that suffers mentally. And I think someone like Godfrey probably would have handled that atmosphere. You're talking about having to play against the referee and the crowd. Do you think someone with a bit of a tougher nut to crack, shall we say, for want of a better way of describing him, but just someone better and more composed mentally would have helped us in that defence today, like a Ben Godfrey would have snuffed out the danger and taken no prisoners.
They get run ragged, didn't they? The centre backs and the defence, and I think they really did struggle to deal with that. And whenever we come against the teams that kind of press us in, we do struggle against it. And even physicality wise, we didn't really dominate them defensively. We did when it came to attacking phases of play. But Keane, for me, get him out at the side. I can't have him in again. That's 3 mistakes. I think the first one was Dean against United. The second one last week at Southampton at home, and now again he's kind of dawdled on it. He didn't get a toe on it, and I mean, you could argue Mina. He kind of comes lunging in as well and leaves a massive gap for
like a
to
bit of
pass
a
it in
clown.
one-on-one.
Yeah.
But the two of them just not really good enough.
I think Keane could have done better. In fairness, you say that, Dave. Keane leaves him in a really difficult position, but he's drawn out, and you think, where's your brain? I think we're weak in central defence. I'll be honest with you. I think them two are very limited. They're not quick. They're not the best distribution wise, and I struggle to see us playing a more spectacular brand of football while we have to compensate for them too. And Holgate isn't the answer, but I do want Godfrey in there.
I think there's a problem with that sort of square, the box in front of the keeper, the two centre backs, the two midfielders. If you imagine that box, none of those players can pass or get on the ball, or you don't feel comfortable with them, and I think that creates.
I don't think Allen and Decore played bad today. I think Decore in particular played well.
No, they didn't play bad, and they hushed, they harried, they were good on the ball generally. But I find that when we're getting pressed in, you don't want to be passing out to them, and it basically leaves the centre backs to choose an option, and you just can't trust those two centre backs to choose the right option. Keane just launches these balls, and a few of them do come off, but half of them will end up in the stand, or you're just thinking, what was that? But there was an element of wastage from us today, wasn't there? Coleman had that chance at the end. He just decided, I'm going to hit it on my left foot. I mean, you just want to scream in frustration, don't you? Really, when
slip Richarlison there.
Some of the gaps that were open to us, it feels a bit like a wasted opportunity today. But we would have taken the point before the game, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much.
You're right, Dave. I mean, I've said it a few times now. I think in hindsight, we'll look back and say a point would have been a good result. I've actually given the video a fitting name. Everton could have won comfortably, and I think that is probably the right thing to say, that we could have won this comfortably. But by the end of it, we were lucky to come out with a point. Will Lewis says he's got DCL got to score those chances at 2-1, but going forward we look really good. Got a lot of positives to take from today. So it is a case of working on the defence and building on the offensive play, and the options we've got. Hopefully with James returning to provide another option next week, and maybe even a new signing or two. There's talks that Joaquim Correa has agreed personal terms with Everton, and they've agreed a fee with Lazio. It's just a case of whether he's going to come to us or Inter. So maybe another new face and some good options there.
Is it a case of individual errors in the back line, or is it the defence as a whole, would you say?
They are individual errors. The the goal last week was no brainer, an individual error, and today's was a case of an individual error that, you know, you've still got opportunity potentially to stop the goal if Mina holds his position better, and allows someone else to come back, you know, if he can stall it. But it was almost like we played into their hands, and even the keeper, what does he do in that
That's the
situation?
second goal.
But does he rush out? In terms of the lead, okay, the Leeds' second goal, I think, is a case of maybe not individual error, but it's a catalogue of things you can do to avoid it, where you stop the cross coming in, you can head it away, and then you can block it, and then obviously the keeper can save it. Now, the keeper's not going to save it. The block, possibly. I mean, it was kind of half-arsed, half attempted. But, you know, certainly winning that first ball, a lofted ball, you know, there wasn't a lot of pace on it. Should have done a lot better. And so it depends what way you look at it. Let's bring Neil in, a friend of the show. Hi, Neil. Give the video a like. Neil saying would have taken a draw before the game. Overall feeling like we had the better chances. Another Keane error for first goal. Godfrey back next Saturday to play with Mina.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
find it hard to argue with Neil there. I think that's a really fair assessment. Thanks, Neil. We play on Tuesday, which Neil also touches on. He says, I hope Branthwaite gets an opportunity. And he did impress for Blackburn on loan. Maybe Branthwaite and Godfrey on Tuesday and see how those two do. And an opportunity for Moise Keane maybe to start up front. And a few others to just show what they can do. Gabamin as well. And keep some of the more important players fresh for the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. But we've got to be careful about how many substitutions we make, because in the past, sometimes you change half the team or most of the team and you end up losing. You know, we don't want to go out now. We need to be targeting cup competitions as our main route to silverware this year. So, yeah, but we've got to give minutes. We don't know how Godfrey is. I do hope he's back for next Saturday at least. And if he's out of his isolation and he can get some minutes on Tuesday, that will build his fitness up.
Sure, he trained. He was photo training yesterday.
Was he? It's probably a fitness issue then, isn't it? So if he can get some minutes under his belt, I do think it will be a lot better in terms of the back line when he's in it. He'll offer that dimension of pace. He's aggressive. He won't be affected by the crowd and stuff. And I think then it will be a case of building on distribution from the back. How do we sort of adapt to Benitez's style of play in terms of balls from the back?
In case you're wondering why I am in the car during this, I did see the game. We had Mabsy live from the ground earlier in the video, so if you've just joined us, please watch back and you'll see Mabsy's reaction straight from Ellen Road. I'm a professional entertainer, so I've been working. I've literally just swapped a white shirt and a bow tie for my Everton polo and thought we'd do a match reaction. And obviously David, aka Basil's been watching at home and pulling his hair out, I believe, at times. So stick with us. Obviously, we're going to have plenty of videos coming up. We might be live again tomorrow afternoon. But now we're going to go back over to the comments. Ludwig Smith says, I really hope we sign Correa. I still don't know. I think we need to get the right pronunciation for that. I think he could really help with our finishing problem. And I talk about that finishing. Neil says one-on-ones are the main weakness in DCL's game, but he's glad to see him taking pens. Must have been listening to Basil and Mount the other day when we wondered why I didn't take them. Yeah, really good comment. Yeah, it was good to see him take the pens and finish it so well and confidently. And you do talk about one-on-ones. There was the one from Iwobi. He should score.
Iwobi. Yeah. The pass was fantastic, actually. I mean, he dribbles in. The thing with Iwobi is he shows flashes of brilliance, and then the rest of the game he'll be like really poor. You know, you just can't get consistency from him. But the pass through, he runs onto it, doesn't he? And you know, I think that if that's on the right-hand side, in the right-hand side channel, he uses his right foot, his strong foot, and he dinks it. But I think because it comes on his left, he kind of just tamely hits it. There's no conviction with the finish. Really poor, though. He should be scoring that. He's one-on-one. Keeper's rushing out. You know, dink it over. So, that's really disappointing. And he only really scored from a penalty today. I know he won the penalty, so he did his job really, but he had chances today. And you think, well, you've got to bury some of those.
I'm a bit gutted really about the result when you really hammer home some of those chances, because Gray put quite a few on the plate for him. A really good delivery, really good pace. There was the one where he did get a connection to it, hits it straight at the goalie when it was a good save, and then there was one from Iwobi slipped through where his finish. I mean, he's got so much of the goal to aim at, and he should just stick it top corner from probably 8 yards out. So it's frustrating. But at the same time, we've touched on the fact we could have easily lost the game, maybe. And a Leeds United fan who's watching higher, he's saying you could have lost easily. And I'd say you didn't have the better of the chances. I think we had the best chances. And your goals came down to a couple of schoolboy style errors. Obviously, the strike from Rafinha was excellent, but very much preventable. And I felt like Everton's goal, certainly that second one, was a touch of class, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. I mean, we could have lost the game purely because Leeds kind of had control for quite a bit of quite a few periods of that game, and they were on top of us. They were pressing us. They were attacking. Rafinha was having a field day, and they created chances. But I do agree that the majority of the sort of more clear chances were for us. And I think, I don't know what the expected goals are, but I'm guessing that stat would confirm whether that's true. Yeah.
I think we had the least of the possession, but it's what we did with it when we had it. We looked so threatening on the counter attack. I think on another day we do bag 4 or 5 goals. Neil saying Correa is how it's pronounced for Correa. It seems decent, but 25 mil for a 27-year-old with a scoring record, I'm not convinced. I'd rather buy a right back. On that, his goal scoring record last season is decent. I think he got double figures in the season before, 8 or 9. So he's not an out and out striker. This guy, he's a number 10 or on the wing, and he's got stature. He's got pace. He's 2-footed. He can dribble. He's like a cross between Yarmolenko, Morales, and yeah, I don't know whether that's good. A very good way of describing him, but yeah, he's a quality player, I think, and he's in his prime. He's a full Argentina international, so for me, bringing him in would be a coup. But you're right, we do need a right back. We need competition, because if Coleman, goes on a bad run of form, which I think is inevitable, he's going to have 20 good games, and then I think he'll probably have 10 or so poor games. I don't fancy seeing John Joe Kenny at right back, if I'm being honest, and I'm not sure I fancy Mason Holgate there either. So I do think we need a right back, but yeah, you can never have too many good options. And Mark saying, I think Gray is a hell of a buy. Completely agree. 1.7 million.
Yeah.
He's shown pace, drive, determination, works hard, scored the goal, great delivery, absolute bargain from what we've seen so far.
I think he was our best player today. I was really pleased with how he his direct running and his crossing and his overall contribution defensively as well. I think he was really good today.
A little bit gutted, really, that he didn't score the winner. And Neil says we had 8 shots on target versus 4 for Leeds. Yeah. I mean, it's down to the defence. And I think you do talk about right back, and I think now there will be questions asked whether we do need to reinforce in central defence, maybe. I think in central midfield, we could get away with what we've got. If Gabamin can get himself up to speed, I think we've got a decent mix in there. I'd like another wide man. I'd like a right back. In an ideal world, a midfielder would be good. But there are going to be questions asked now at centre-back if we can get a left-sided central defender in. Or is Godfrey that left-sided centre-back, and then who'd you partner with? That's the question, because they all seem to have their own little downfalls.
It's kind of a case of where is most important to strengthen at. I think the problem is it is as well, but the problem for me is I want a right back, but I think that would improve the side a lot if we had a top quality right back in terms of first 11. However, if Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison get an injury, Keane's not interested, he's probably going to leave. We will not survive without a striker or somebody of an attacking nature who can play up front. So,
And bear in
back's
mind,
great, but
we've also lost Sigurdsson. I don't know what's going on. I think the club need to put something out about this. But you're talking about a player. I think he got 8 goals or 5 assists, or productive last season. I mean, we don't need to get into the reasons why he's not playing, but if he's not playing again, which it looks, it seems to be likely, are we going to go and replace that? Because that's a forward. We're a forward down. Maybe the signing of the Argentinian, forward could be actually Sigurdsson's replacement, and then maybe even then, if Moise Keane goes, we need an out-and-out striker. And we link with one of the players, I can't remember his name, Rondon. I mean, I don't think we're necessarily looking at the right players as well. Sean Longstaff, for me, doesn't inspire me particularly. There was talk that McNeil and Longstaff are the two that they're hoping for, but
yeah, they don't inspire me.
spot on, Ryan. It's a question of priorities without final financial fair play. I do think, Neil, it's going to be a case of just who comes available. I think there's going to be a lot in the market towards the end of the window, clubs, because there's not an awful lot of money in the game, and a lot of players teams can't get rid of who aren't productive. And I think there's going to be a lot of sides trying to get rid of the deadwood, and a lot of loans available, and a lot of players on the cheap. And then there's just those that forcing it. And have we got that financial clout now? Have we got the ability to give them the wages right now? To tempt them over coming to us from an Inter, maybe to choose us over Inter Milan, because I think in previous seasons we would have blown Inter Milan out the water. It's just obviously they've won it their league and they've sold Lukaku, so it's going to be who's available. I think this summer maybe we'll bring 1 or 2 more in. I think next summer you look at who's leaving. James Rodriguez, 10 million a year salary. It doesn't look like he's getting his contract renewed regardless. And you've got quite a few players. I think Yerry Mina's contract's expiring. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, Sigurdsson, Delph. There is a lot of players. Cenk Tosun. You're talking 25, 30 million in wages minimum, potentially off the books next summer. And what I always find really interesting about Everton, and just touching on the James Rodriguez situation very briefly, is we're paying him 10 million a year. Yes, he might only play 20 games, but why is he the priority to get rid of when we have players like Delph, who for me comes on and doesn't really look like he's that good, and a whole host of others. There's certainly other players who we should be shepherding out before someone like James Rodriguez, who at least does have some productivity on the pitch.
Yeah, completely agree. But you've got to sell who's actually going to be somebody who's going to help another team, and at the moment a lot of these players won't help us, so they're not going to help many other Premier League teams really, and the wages they're on, it's just really difficult to get anyone to take them. Hammers can do a job, but he's on extortionate wages, isn't he?
But I'd rather have a James Rodriguez on 200 grand a week than players like Delph and Cenk who on combined 200k themselves and offering even less. So you've got to find the balance and try and remain.
Not going to go. Delph's not just going to walk out, is he? He's
but what are we asking for these players? Are we asking for a lot of money, or are we willing to let them go for free?
Just let him go on a free, but nobody's going to pay his wages. Or take a fee and then give it to Delph and tell him to get lost.
Where do we go from here then? Obviously, Tuesday's game. Do you want to see the changes ring, and give some of the fringe players a chance, or do you want Everton to set a precedence and go out with a strong side?
No, we don't want to lose the game, so it's got to be a mixed team. I'd like to see Gbamin get some minutes. I'd like to see Godfrey back. Moise Keane, I don't know if he's going. Then what's the point? I'm struggling with that one.
Would you like to see Andy Lonergan, the Premier League winner, given a game?
I've no idea who this fella is, to be honest.
He won the Premier League. He didn't kick a ball. He's played for, I think, 7 or 8 clubs in 5 years without playing.
He just goes from place to place, takes the money and leaves. Yeah. Well, it'll be Begovic in goal, won't it?
Yeah.
Kenny's going to play. He'll probably play Keane. May as well switch it off now. I don't know. There'll be a mixed bag, won't there? There'll be a mixed bag of players. But I think we need to reflect on the first two games and what we've seen, style of play, what we're missing from the team, and how we can get through
Love you.
with the right players.
As should we wrap up? Have you got anything else you want to talk about? Obviously, we've highlighted how well Gray did. Decore, I thought, he was a bit of an engine in midfield today, and I just think on the balance of it, a draw is a good result, but we're probably, on another day could have and should have won. And lessons to be learned from that. Take your chances, and obviously, when you miss them at 2-2, you're thinking we're gonna draw or lose this, and rue that because it's just Everton. What are the lessons we can take from this moving forward?
Well, you either have to be more concentrated in defence and not make silly sort of transitions of play, or you take your chances. Either one of them, and we win that game today. And we kind of failed on both. There was real positives in that performance, and I think if we'd gone there with the snake in charge still, it would have been a much different performance, and arguably we would have lost that. We would have got sucked back.
But we won last year.
There was no crowd there, and I think that the energy from that, I don't know. It's difficult to say, but I think we actually gave it a bit of a go in terms of attacking. We tried to attack them.
Yeah.
And there's positives in that. I mean, we just lapse in the defense, and we need to see that improve. Otherwise, we're going to struggle this season to clinch games out. We're going to be drawing a lot of games, so let's see.
Yeah. There's a comment from Will. Will, if we're obviously coming on straight after the match when there's probably 3 or 4 channels that are 100 times bigger than ours. So, we're doing our bit and hopefully we'll be able to grow. I know on our Sunday shows, we get 40, 50 viewers all at once watching, which is really good because there's not really anyone streaming at that sort of time, but obviously straight after the game, yeah, there's a lot of options. So we're glad that you guys are sticking with us and watching our stream instead of some of the other cool channels. Basil, moving forward, do you think you're going to be reflecting on this game with some sadness, or do you think you're going to get over this quickly, or you're going to be celebrating the point? What are you doing now?
Well, we won last week, and I think that makes this an okay point. And I think if we got a point last week, it would be a different story. 4 points, 2 games. It's not bad. I don't know where we are on the table. It's too early to look at it, really.
Not looking.
No, it's just a little bit disappointing that this has happened. If this was 20 games later and this had happened, then we would be fuming, I think. I think we're just about accepting it now as things adapt. So we've got to give this time. We've got to give the system time to bed in, and let's see if we can keep improving.
Mark says for a second. Was it a conventional 4-4-2 today, Dave?
Yeah, it was. It was 4-4-2. I think I kind of predicted this. Iwobi would play today. I thought he would play, but in the cam role, I thought we'd try and shore up the midfield, put Richarlison out wide, but he stuck with the 4-4-2 and he put Iwobi there. He got one ball in, as far as I can remember, one cross, which actually was on target for once. So maybe he'll start improving Iwobi's ability to cross the ball.
It actually looked like we had balance in midfield. We didn't look overly exposed, and we didn't look, short in attack. I thought the 4-4-2 helped us at both ends, and I'm getting Mark saying the cop-out to top where we knew that. I mean, they've played Norwich and Burnley, for God's sake, and what do you expect? They're going to be given the uneasy running, aren't they? I've completely lost my thought. He's taking it away from me.
We would just need to, if we win next week, that would be 7 points, 3 games. We wouldn't be complaining. We'd be in a good position. So that's got to be the aim. We get to the international break. We get a chance there to do some last deals if we can, and then we build from there.
Are we sticking with the 4-4-2? Because with that formation, there's no room maybe for Gabaman and there's no room for James.
But we'll get injuries. I think he might go back to 4-2-3-1 from time to time. Yeah. I think if James ends up staying, I don't know about James. I think he might end up staying. I think it might nobody will want to take him on the wages and his injury record, and he'll just be.
Sure there's plenty of teams that will take James. I genuinely think there's a lot of teams who paid for it in shirt sales. He's a fourth most followers of a sportsman on Instagram. I mean, let's get real. Commercially, it would be suicide to sell him, and from a footballing perspective, he's better than a lot of the players we've got. So for me, I hands down do not want to sell him. I think even as an option on the bench, you have him and you show him some love. Mark, I know you watch us regularly on Facebook. If you can go over on YouTube as well, though, please give us a subscribe. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers before Christmas. I think we're on 360, which is good. So we need 140 more. Guys, we've enjoyed having you on the stream. Please share, follow Everton with your friends and family who are also Evertonians, and ask them to subscribe to us on YouTube and give us a thumbs up. Just a final comment from Neil, who's saying we played well enough in a tough game with a big crowd against us. Completely agree. And we just cut out some individual errors. We can win them and we'll go far. Right. That's all from us. Thanks for joining us, Basil.
You're welcome.
You're kind of used to it now, though, aren't you? You know what to expect, and
of course,
with these games, you don't get as worked up as maybe you would have.
It's early in the season, isn't it? If we get worked up now, then what have we got down for us?
You'll be in a box by May, probably.
I know. Well, it's the same old, but stay calm.
Same defensive problems, maybe, but I think there is stuff to take positive from this game. Certainly going forward. Certainly Gray. Certainly Calvert-Lewin with another goal and some good performances. But yeah, individual errors, tightening up and being more clinical and with the finishing and the final pass. So looking forward to next week, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, guys. Give us a thumbs up. Cheers.
Follow Everton.
Subscribe.
Yeah, of course.
See you later, Lucas.